Spoiler alert, today we're taking a look at the confirmed controller layout for GTA 6. This is coming from the leak about a year and a half ago, so it's nothing new, but I recently rewatched a bunch of the leaked videos and there's some very interesting things. Yeah, some of the stuff is pretty obvious, like R2 to shoot, L2 to aim, but there are some new things that Rockstar are doing with the controls that's very interesting. So we're really gonna be talking about that stuff in today's video. Now here we have a picture. This is actually what inspired me to make this video. This is a picture from Reddit user Skater. He put together this pretty nice picture here of all the confirmed controller layouts for the on-foot controls. There's actually a bit more than what he has on here, but we'll start with this because this just, of course, is the pretty basic controller layout. We'll start on the left-hand side. You have your obvious L2 to aim, L1 for the weapon wheel. Some of them aren't known, so that's why they have no text next to them. The one we do know, switch character, is down on the D-pad. And the only thing I'll say about that is, in this game, theoretically, it should be way quicker to switch characters because there's only 2 of them. You don't have to fumble with the right stick to like go to either Michael or Franklin or Trevor. It's just you hit down on the D-pad and it switches the characters because there's only 2. We'll talk about the other D-pad controls because there's some stuff mentioned in the leaks that's not on this picture. But then, of course, the only other thing on the left side, the left stick, use that to move around, pretty obvious. The one new part is left stick down. You can press it to crouch and you can actually hold it to go prone. And crouch is an actual crouch. It's not like the GTA 5 crouch, and prone is just completely new. So that'll be really fun, especially with some snipers. Like give me a ghillie suit, give me a sniper, let me go prone in some of the more luscious parts of the world and just have some fun with that. Then we'll move to the right-hand side, and again, you have some pretty obvious ones. R2, shoot. Now, R1 is not known here, and we'll talk a lot more about the R1 button because normally that was for cover, but it doesn't look like there's like a cover system that you have to manually go into. So we'll talk about that here in a second. The rest, though, triangle is for picking up items, which is another interesting one. We have circle for punch / reload, another interesting one because that's 2 different things on the same button. X, of course, tap or hold to sprint. Now, the good news is in GTA Online recently, they added a hold to sprint, so you don't have to freaking just tap the X button anymore. But I guess if you still want to do that, you'll have the option. And then the other 2 at the bottom, look around, of course, on the right stick, and then right stick down is actually for switching weapon hands. So you can go on your left shoulder or your right shoulder, I guess, or maybe you shoot left-handed or right-handed. Either way, again, another new feature that is going to be added to GTA 6. Actually, I think it was in RDR2, RDR1, maybe even GTA 4. For whatever reason, it just wasn't in GTA 5. But that's like the basic controller layout, at least when you're on foot. Now, what is a bit interesting and a bit weird is when you do, if you have the option to look through the leaked footage. I wish I could show you guys the leaked footage, but I still don't think it's safe to show that on YouTube just yet. Maybe one of these days I'll be able to show you guys because there's some really cool stuff in it. But if you do end up watching all of the leaked videos, a lot of buttons have different things bound to them. For example, triangle. In some clips, there were some guns on the ground and you had to hit triangle to pick up those guns. In other clips, there was a little gumball machine and you could hit triangle to interact with it, to purchase a gumball. But as we all know, triangle is also how you get into vehicles. It's how you steal vehicles. So I guess there's multiple uses for certain buttons. But also there was another clip in the nightclub when you're with Lucia, you're walking through the nightclub. There's a beer can on the ground that you actually can hit X to pick up. So maybe it's like picking up weapons is triangle, but picking up items is X. Or maybe it's like some games do nowadays where you can just simply change the controller layout to anything you want. Like you can just bind any button to anything. That would be the ideal scenario because then everyone wins. You can just do whatever you want. But yeah, it was a little odd that some clips showed triangle to pick up items where one clip specifically had X to pick up an item. Now I mentioned the R1 button because again, normally R1 was how you get into cover. I think what's going to happen in this game is it's going to be a seamless transition from out of cover to in cover. There's not going to be a button you have to get. I believe a lot of games actually do that nowadays. The reason we know that R1 is not actually for cover is because in the diner clip, R1 actually is shown for 2 things. at the top left, in at a certain point in the diner clip, it actually says to tap R1 to check in with Jason or hold for more options. Unfortunately, it doesn't really show those options or even really what checking in with Jason means, because of course you're in the diner clip, you're robbing the diner, the police are about to come. So maybe that's, hey Jason, do we leave early? Do we get more money? Like, I don't know exactly what those options, what you could be checking in with Jason for, but it was a significant thing that shows up on the screen. Hold R1 to hit or to talk and interact with Jason. Later on in that same scene though, it was also how you interacted with the cops. Now this one, for a split second, there was a little bit of an option menu. You hit R1 when it says police, and it only had one text option, but it had 3 different buttons here. Triangle was for surrendering. Now, of course, there's the 2 other buttons. Don't know what they could be for. There was no text there, but it looks like R1 is maybe how you interact with other NPCs, like the world, maybe. That was kind of a complaint with GTA 5. You never really could just surrender. And half the times, like, you would try to surrender, but the cops would just keep shooting you and you would die. It looks like now maybe when you have stars on you, you can hold R1 and hit triangle to just surrender and give up. Maybe there's a less of a penalty versus dying. But yeah, this R1 thing is why we don't think there's going to be a sort of manual cover system in the game. I guess they could switch it out to another button, but again, other games nowadays are going to a more seamless transition, like maybe you just go towards a wall and then you duck for cover. Now there's a lot of other stuff we got to see from this diner clip, and we'll look at when you actually look or aim at an NPC, you'll see this little menu pop up. So like they looked at the staff, for instance, and it had staff, triangle for rob, and I believe there was a circle button for threaten. Now, the reason I have a bunch of different text here is because it depended on certain NPCs you looked at. For instance, a staff only had like rob and threaten, where they looked at an NPC in the diner and it said restrain for a triangle and melee. And then also when Lucia in the diner clip killed one of the NPCs, you would hit triangle to loot the body and then square to actually pick up the body, which makes me wonder if you kill someone, you can pick up the body and then hide it. Maybe there's less of a chance the cops come after you, but that's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, it looks like there's going to be this little menu that pops up in a lot of different scenarios. I mean, it's very similar to what we saw with the police, and that's how you're going to interact with the world. Whether you rob people, you restrain people, you loot their body if they're dead, you threaten them, you melee them, you pick up the body. There's going to be a lot of different uses for the various buttons. The other thing we got to see, and unfortunately it wasn't much more than just the text on the screen, but when they got into the car, it did say tap left to access the vehicle controls menu or hold D-pad left to bring up the quick options. So vehicle controls menu, that could just be things like lights, windows. I guess I don't know what else could be in the vehicle's control menu. And then quick options, I have no idea what that could be, but quick options is another thing when you're in a vehicle. Now we're gonna go back to the other picture of the controller layout because of course, again, there's some stuff that's not mentioned here. And I also want to say things can always change. Like this is from the leaks a year and a half ago. Things definitely could always change. But of course we have the D-pad. A lot of the D-pad buttons aren't really bound to anything. Maybe they bring back, I believe it was only on PlayStation where you could hit left on the D-pad to throw grenades and stuff instead of fumbling through your weapon wheel. So maybe that's what they do with the D-pad, with one of the buttons on the D-pad. There's also, in one of the clips, Jason has an eagle eye mode. I'm assuming maybe you have to press both of the sticks down to access that. But let us know in the comments, like, what are your guesses on some of these non-bound buttons? Anyway, I thought this was kind of an interesting look at some of the features, some of the new things Rockstar's planning to do in GTA 6. Look, of course, we're still waiting on trailer 2. There's not a whole lot to talk about unless we get some new leaks in the coming days or something like that. But yeah, this is kind of an interesting thing to take a look at. The controller layout, some of the confirmed controls from the leaks. What are you guys' thoughts? Do you hope that maybe you can just bind anything to anything you want? Are you a tap X to sprint or hold X to sprint now? And how do you feel about this new menu that they're adding to like various NPCs? I mean, obviously they needed to do that just because there's just so many things you can interact with in and have to do in the game. So I guess there's no other way, but yeah, it's a new thing, of course, added to GTA 6. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out in the end. But that's gonna do it for today's GTA 6 video. Thank you guys for watching. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more GTA 6 content. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.